Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book HQ. So this week I'm going to be talking about the second book in the Crazy Rich Asian series, and it's called China Rich Girlfriend. So this book picks up with Rachel and Nick as they're getting ready for their big wedding, but it also follows the stories of other characters. Those other characters are Kitty Pong, who we were introduced to briefly towards the end of the first book, and then completely new characters, Carlton, Rachel's half-brother, and then Rachel's father, Bao Gao Liang, and Rachel's father's wife. The story sort of begins with Nick being at Rachel's family's for a get-together, and then they're gonna have a wedding dress rehearsal, dinner, and then the wedding. And so it's really very interesting to see the stark difference between how it is at Rachel's family and how it was at Nick's family. Nick's basically been, for all intents and purposes, excommunicated by his grandmother Su Yi, but his mom is still not okay with him being on the outskirts of the family and him getting married without her being there. So she crashes their wedding in a helicopter. Nick's dad tries to warn him, but it's too late. But she does one good thing. She does actually track down Rachel's real dad, and she gets them to meet. The story then is sort of looking at how the relationship develops between Rachel and her brother Carlton, and the difficulty that Bao Gaoliang, Rachel's dad, is having with his wife, because neither his wife nor his son, Carlton, knew that Rachel existed. And being that he's got greater aspirations because he's extremely wealthy, but he's also got a very high position in the Chinese government, and he's trying to go even higher. And so this kind of scandal, like an illegitimate daughter, might dash the chances of his political career soaring. So it's very interesting to kind of see those dynamics between Rachel and the dad, and then him having to juggle with his wife and his son. And then it's really nice to see the brother and sister, Rachel and Carlton, get to know each other, get close, have fights, but still stick it out and be there for each other. The other person that this book also follows, and I didn't quite get why, is Kitty Pong. As I said, Kitty Pong we get introduced to in the last book. She's Alistair's girlfriend, and then she ends up cheating on Alistair with Bernard Tai. So in this book, she's married to Bernard Tai, and it's sort of a weird relationship where nobody's seeing Bernard Tai anywhere, and they think that she's got him locked up in a dungeon somewhere. Some people are speculating that he may be kidnapped, but she's being seen everywhere at all of the major socialite events in Singapore. And sort of the big splash that she makes, which is very controversial, is that there's an auction going on for this ancient Chinese painting called the Palace of 18 Perfections, and she buys it for a record crazy amount, basically to prove that she has arrived. And she is a social climber. That's what she's trying to do, and she's having such a hard time doing this in Singapore because everybody's so snooty and hung up on pedigree, what's your lineage, can you trace it back several generations, etc. And she obviously doesn't have that background. Karina helps people who are aspiring to be in this very close-knit group. She helps them make their way in there because she's already in there. She also comes from a very wealthy, prestigious family, which is well-connected, etc. Kitty has to keep her on retainer to do this, but she ends up doing this for Kitty. Sort of like a charm school type thing, teaching her the proper ways, how to interact with people, etc., how to get in, how to become accepted. We're really getting to understand sort of the intricate workings of how things work at public events, what those public events really actually mean. Things like even the church. I think it's a Pentecostal church that they go to, which is super exclusive. You can only go by invite, and it's dudes, totally not the point of church, right? And by the way, Kitty has a daughter with Bernard. She ends up having to tell Karina what the issue is with Bernard, and it turns out that he had plastic surgery that was supremely and spectacularly botched, and so he's getting it fixed in the States. And whilst he's there, he discovers a new lifestyle of being paleo and healthy, and then it's in stark contrast to what he was before, and it's stark contrast to what Kitty wants and is and aspires to be. And so there's a fissure there in their marriage, and at the end she just kind of ends up telling Karina that none of this is really worth it because she has found someone else, the third richest man in China, and she's traded up. She's ditched Bernard, and she's kidnapped Giselle, her child, from the States, and she's gone off to this man. And then this man just so happens to be the father of Colette Bing. This is Jack Bing. And I mentioned Colette Bing as if you should know. Colette Bing happens to be the not girlfriend of Carlton. Rachel, during her time getting to know Carlton, spends a lot of time with Colette. Towards the end, we find out that Colette is really not anything like what she's been pretending to be. Friendly, kind, generous, none of those things. She actually had ulterior motives all along. She's actually quite evil, and we will see a lot more of Colette come book 3. I still really enjoyed this one. It was super entertaining. It was really great to see even more in depth into the lives of these people. Somebody I didn't talk about was Astrid, and Astrid's life with Michael is doing much better because we ended in the last book with Charlie Wu buying out Astrid's husband's company, making him now a millionaire. And so we really see how Michael changes from the quiet, humble, gentle soul he was previously to this really obnoxious, flamboyant, bossy person now that he has all these millions. He even kind of becomes scary at one point when they break up officially. There's a moment where it escalates and almost to the point of violence. But my problem with the book was that we don't get to see how that situation gets resolved. We don't know if she calls the police or if not, or if when she does they come over, like what happens. We don't know. We will pick up with them again in the 3rd book. It really didn't feel as lighthearted as the 1st book because it really goes into more serious issues, and at times it also kind of felt like it was playing into multiple genres at the same time. I really enjoyed it. It's a really good book. Definitely read it if you haven't already. And as I said in my previous video, do let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And until next time, keep reading and keep watching. Bye-bye.